This place is an absolute mess and I need to make some room because we have something exciting coming very, very soon. Let's talk about it. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed here with how I want to lay this out because I don't have some of the key parts of the equation quite yet in order to, one, make some of the other adjustments I want, as well as just see how it all fits in space. And I was watching some YouTube the other night over dinner and I came across Shop Nation's video where he's building a new shop in his backyard, and he made a scale replica model of his shop with 3D printed tools, and it was very, very cool. So he's kind of figuring things out, and I've been trying to figure stuff out. While I don't have a 3D printer and a laser cutter and all of that, I do have a craft store like half a mile from here. So where there's foam core, a knife, and some creativity, I built this. Now this is a 1/12 scale model, so for every inch of this model is 1 foot in the space that we're actually in. So of course, center of my shop right now, I built a tiny little table. This is a 4x4 table that's about 36 inches high. And that's sort of the main staple of the shop at the moment. There's also this workbench in the back, which I'm not in love with how this looks, but this is enough of an idea of how it all looks. About 3 feet high, standard counter height, and 2 feet deep. And there is some shelves, but it basically goes the whole way across the back wall. So that's sort of, as it stands, it could be removed, but is permanently fixed right there at the moment. I have 23 feet from the garage door here in the front all the way to that back counter, and it's 12.5 feet wide. I even put the little door into the house in. That's better. Aside from the workbench that I have as my sort of current center point of the shop, I also have up in this corner, there's some trash cans that are roughly this size. And I kind of want to build almost this exact kind of shape, which would be like a little garage for those to live in. And it would go right here next to the door and be sort of another work surface and kind of hide those trash cans. So some of the other things that I want to kind of model out right now is this workbench over here is 2 foot by 8 foot. And so I've got a 2 inch by 8 inch piece of wood. I went and I just bought some balsa wood. I bought like a variety pack of a bunch of different sizes for this, just because I wanted this stuff to kind of feel, I could have made the whole thing out of foam core basically, but I wanted it to feel a little bit more profesh. This thing is maybe the best Ryobi tool that's ever been made. I think there's some other companies now making some pretty awesome cordless hot glue guns, but if you do any sort of like crafting or modeling or stuff like this, I think these things are like $20 or $30, and the batteries are cheap for it. It gets super hot, super fast. I think there's a new version too that maybe has different heat settings. I've had this one quite a few years now. While we're waiting on this to glue up, I figured we could just talk a little more about the future of the videos here. I really want to make more consistent content here in the new year. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think. Do you like the videos where they're not necessarily a full build, but more just sort of like a diary entry vlog style, where it's just sort of like what I'm up to in a day or a weekend or in a week, not necessarily projects start to finish, could be part projects, could be multiple projects, or do you like them more segmented into projects start to finish, end video, next video is a different one, or even a series of videos where there's 3 or 4 parts to one larger build? I'd love to know what you guys think. I have some thoughts myself that I think I like sort of more candid, kind of here's what's going on today. This is the project I want to build, this one thing, we're going to upgrade this, we're going to work on this kind of stuff. And less of the big builds. I think those will still happen. There'll definitely be times where it makes sense to do a more complete thought, but I'd love to know what you guys think. There's a floating workbench right here. There's also the bandsaw. I should make that. It's roughly 2 feet by 1.5 feet by 5.5. Okay. The proportions aren't quite right. The table should be higher than that, but bandsaw. So now we have an idea roughly It's the right height and the footprint's basically correct. I'm really enjoying this process, and I'll be able to keep this and make other things that come into the shop as they come up. But that leads us to the big thing here. Let's talk about what I ordered. Here it is. We're gonna slide this table out of the way. That's right, I ordered a table saw. I ordered a 3 horsepower saw stop. It should be here any day now. And the whole reason that I'm tearing apart the shop and trying to figure this out is because I gotta figure out where to put this thing. My current plan, I think, is to put it over here against this pole, and then potentially remove this workbench and either modify this table or make something similar to it that becomes an outfeed table situation here. So I've been playing around with different orientations and different options here. Table saw probably needs to stay here. I thought about putting it in the middle, but it just doesn't leave a ton of room. I think it would be about 3 feet on either side. And while in the model it looks reasonably sized, I just don't think it's that good of an idea. So I think putting it over here, even with this pole, even if I have to bump it out just a hair, I think that'll be good. Definitely gonna need to build an outfeed table once this thing comes in, but I think it'll be easier to do with the table, and then we'll have it to measure and height and all that. I definitely think a miter saw station with lots of cabinet storage will be a must. I'm also considering back here, there's this huge thing that's just kind of takes up a lot of space, and while it does store a decent amount of stuff, it's just not the best. Tearing that out and maybe building like a half one to one side, and then have like the bandsaw or maybe a drill press or something someday in the corner. You know, we'll have to build some sort of hand tool bench. This was that little bench that we moved around earlier, but this could also be like a hand tool workbench, and we could have sort of like a little set that we could start and end the videos and do some of the building there. I'm having far too much fun playing with this model of the shop. I think I'm going to continue to work on this as we evolve the shop and work through some more ideas. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, and until next time, keep being awesome.